As chefs, it's really important that we risk assess every step of the operation when we're preparing and cooking food for our customers. This is so we can be guaranteed that it's safe for them to eat. One of the processes or procedures that's used is called Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Points, also known as HACCP for short. This is a 7-step procedure, and by following this set of procedures from 1 to 7, we can eliminate the risk of food becoming unsafe for consumers to eat. Unfortunately, occasionally things will go wrong and staff will be sick or they may have an accident. If this is the case, it's important that we always make sure that an accident report or a sickness report form is completed. This keeps a record of exactly what's happened and shows due diligence of the employer. If these steps are followed, then the likelihood of food being safe is maximised and safe for our customers to eat. It's essential that we reduce the opportunities for bacteria to grow during all stages of preparation and cooking. One of the things that we can do is, on receipt of food, that we store it appropriately. So if it's fresh food, such as milk or cream, that should go in the fridge, and a fridge should be operating between 1 and 5 degrees centigrade. If it's frozen food, it should be frozen at between -18 and -22 degrees centigrade. Whilst we're preparing food, it's essential that we don't mix foods of different types. So therefore, raw food and cooked food should be stored separately. And different types of food shouldn't have the opportunity to mix, to basically touch each other. Now, one system that we could operate is a colour-coded system, so that we're using different coloured boards for different types of foods. So you can see here that I have a range of different boards, and as long as we keep to the same system and we use the same board for the different type of commodity each time, then we'll avoid foods becoming in contact with each other. It's also important that we use different knives for different jobs, and that each time we use a knife we make sure that it's spotlessly clean, so that there is no bacteria transferred from the knife onto the food or the board. So here I have some different types of knives, this one for general sort of preparation, this one for meat preparation, and this one for vegetable preparation. So not only are they designed for different types of foods, but it also gives us an indication of what they should be used for. When we're cooking foods, it's important that we get food to the temperature where it becomes safe to eat and that bacteria is dying. To make sure that we are confident that food has reached temperature, we can use a temperature probe. So by inserting the temperature probe, which we've wiped so that it's sterilised with a wipe, we insert this into the centre of the food, record the temperature using the digital screen, and it's best practice that food should reach 75 degrees centigrade before in its core temperature, so that we know that it's safe to eat before we serve that to customers. Other things that are really important is to make sure that all our surfaces are clean and free from bacteria. And again, we've got different chemicals that we can use to ensure that surfaces are disinfected and safe to use. So by following these basic practices, we can avoid cross-contamination and ensure that our food is clean and safe to use, safe to cook and safe to serve our customers. Here are some of the examples of common risks to food safety. Over here we have what appears to be perfectly safe food, tomatoes and a carrot. These are often grown using pesticides, which is a chemical. So this is a chemical risk unless they're washed. So it's important that foods that may have been treated with pesticides are treated in that way. Some plasters, or in fact any other item that might enter the food chain. This is known as a physical risk. If this falls into food, then it obviously spoils the food for the customer and could make it potentially dangerous for them to eat. Other items, such as jewellery or a nail, could end up choking a customer, which would be very unpleasant. There are many foods which cause allergies, so these are allergenic foods, such as nuts. It's important that these foods are also treated, kept separate from other foods, and that it's clearly identifiable on menus or in dishes when we're using such items. Another area is microbiological hazards. For example, if we cut ourselves and have an open wound, the bacteria from that wound produces such a risk. Meat that's gone rotten also has bacterial growth and would also produce a similar risk. On this tray we have some examples of food that has suffered from spoilage. Basically, as soon as a vegetable is picked or an animal is killed for the food chain, the enzymes in the food start to change, and after a while they will end up in such spoilage such as this. The texture and smell of foods will also start to change. This pear, for example, is starting to go soft and is discolouring. And the mushroom here is showing signs of mould, and its texture is changing. It's becoming very crumbly. Our smell also gives us an indication that food is starting to be spoiled. So here we have some examples of common risks to food safety.